Welcome to the Daily Influence, where our mission is to deliver a daily dose of positive influence that can uplift you personally or be shared within your sphere of influence. While not every episode may directly apply to your unique circumstances, we strive to provide insights and inspiration relevant to most people's daily, weekly, and monthly lives. Whether you are tuning in during the morning, noon, or night, the Daily Influence is here for you. Listen, share, and embrace the power of influence in your life.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Daily Influence. I'm Gregg Koleno with the IN Team series, the Daily Influence, and IA Business Advisors. We are so glad that you are here taking some time out of your day for a daily dose of positive influence. And this is a conversation you won't want to miss. Today, I have with me Frank Griseta. Frank and I know each other through networking, and we've just built this great relationship. And I'm excited for him to share his thoughts with us today. Frank, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored and it's a pleasure to be here.
Frank, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Like Greg said, my name is Frank Griseta. I am the owner of the Griseta Group of Focus Financial. We're a comprehensive investment and financial planning firm serving businesses, high net worth clients, and even clients of different network values. We provide non-biased investment management and opinions and consultations. And so basically we specialize in just getting everybody's finances together and their portfolios together so that it all makes sense so that it can help them accomplish whatever financial goals that they have in the future.
Can you tell us about a specific moment or experience when you felt you made a significant positive impact on someone's life?
Yeah. Obviously in my 25 plus career as a financial advisor, I've had a lot of great experiences to help people financially achieve goals. But I'm going to kind of step outside that for a second because, Greg, as you know, I'm also a professional photographer as well. And I would probably say one of the most memorable experiences I had was there was a young lady who worked in an office in our building, and she would, pop her head in every once in a while and talk with April, my assistant, and myself. And we kind of knew some of her family and so forth. And she was always just a very happy and bubbly girl, and just she always dressed kind of casually with a t-shirt and a baseball cap and so forth. And at that time when we had done this, I was relatively new to photography, and so I said, Lauren, I go, you always have a smile on your face. I go, I need to capture that on film. So come on over to the studio. Let's do like a little photo shoot. And she's like, well, I'm not a model. I'm like, well, you don't have to be. This is just for fun. We're just going to, I need practice and we're just going to do this for fun. So we did it and she loved it. She goes, oh my God, this is really great. So I invited her back to come to my house again. And this time I had invited a good friend of mine who's a hair and makeup artist. And we were basically kind of doing this concept with colored gels and makeup and everything else like that. So we did her all up with the makeup. And so while she was sitting in a chair and she was done, I took my cell phone and took a picture of her and showed it to her. And she looked at that picture and she started to cry while she was sitting there in the chair. And she goes, oh my God. She goes, I never thought I could ever look like that. I'm like, well, me and Kelly, who was a makeup artist, we thought you could. That's why you're here. And we're experimenting. We're being artistic and everything. So we did the shoot. Everything went great. Pictures came out wonderful and so forth. And about 4 months later, she came to visit me in the office because about 2 months after the shoot, she had quit her job here in our building. And she came in after 4 months and she goes, she's like, I just want to tell you that photo shoot changed my life. She goes, that photo shoot gave me the confidence to go out and really seek and do what I wanted to do. And Greg, let me tell you, she could have paid me $1 million to do that shoot, and it would not have been anywhere near as gratifying as hearing those words come out of her mouth. And that is a moment, I remember like it happened yesterday. And that is a moment that will stick with me forever. So
what a wonderful story, Frank. Thank you for sharing that. What a positive influence you had on her. That is amazing.
I had no idea I was going to have that kind of influence on her. And I'm just so happy that I was able to experience that.
You literally changed the trajectory of her life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Now she's got a different career. She's engaged. She's moving on and just always progress. And I think, hey, I had a little something to do with that, so.
You absolutely did. Great job, Frank. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Frank, how do you believe acts of kindness, mentorship, or leadership can contribute to creating a more positive and supportive community or even workplace environment?
So, there's always that saying that they say, well, people won't always remember what you've told them, but they'll always remember how you made them feel, right? And I think for most of us, if we say, hey, what was a memorable moment in your life? Like I just shared about that photo shoot, I felt absolutely great. So like when people have experiences that make them feel wonderful, or unfortunately sometimes really sad, they remember those moments. And, and as a leader, so as a business owner myself and my wife is a business owner, I believe it's our responsibility to encourage our workers to believe in themselves. Let's face it, who wants to go to work and go work with someone who is going to make them feel crappy about themselves? When people love their boss, they're more excited to come to work. And so we have always tried to provide an environment here where we just try to make it fun. Sometimes we'll just do like we'll say, hey, it's Friday afternoon. Let's all just hop in the car and we're going to run the Gene and Jude's and get hot dogs and, take a long break from work or something like that. But not only that, it's just every day when I leave the office, I say, hey, ladies, thank you for everything. Because, I couldn't do this alone. My wife, I could not do this alone. It's because of them and, that we are able to have the life that we have and have the business that we have. So it hurts me when I see leaders not treating their employees with respect, because you are kind of chipping away at their self-confidence, and that's not what's supposed to happen in the workforce. Why would you want to do that to your own employees? You need to encourage them, boost them up so that they become more productive, and more importantly, they become loyal to you. If they know that you sincerely have their back, they will be loyal employees forever.
That is really great advice, true leadership advice. Thank you for sharing it, Frank. In your opinion, why is it important for individuals to actively seek opportunities to spread positivity and uplift those around them?
I think it's extremely important. Number one, for our own selves. I think when you are out there spreading positivity, you're not only are you affecting other people, but you're also helping yourself as well. Let's face it, we live in a world that is very cynical, divided, negative. You listen to the news. You can start watching the news and be like the happiest person in the world, and then by the time the news is on, you're like extremely depressed because they're always just. Unfortunately, bad news seems to sell, which is sad. But in this type of a world, I think everybody has a responsibility to go out there and just be encouraging and kind to other people. There's nothing bad or negative about doing that, and it doesn't cost you anything. Even just a simple if you're taking a walk in the morning and your neighbor happens to pass you by and you say, hey, how are you? How you doing? Good morning or whatever, those simple things like that, those are things that people really cherish. Or you just give somebody a compliment or something, something really simple. It's not hard to do. In 24 hours a day, if you can take 10 seconds to give somebody a compliment, it's not a bad thing. And you know what? Sometimes that just might be the best thing that they've heard all day long. And, and again, it goes back to how you made them feel and so forth like that. So, so it's very important. I think everyone, look, we're all adults, and I think that we should take that on as a responsibility. And when you do that, if you have children or the people around you, that are influenced by you, they'll kind of pick up on the same lead.
Yeah, it's definitely contagious, right? The positivity.
Absolutely,
and
for sure.
Even the random acts of kindness. I love random acts of kindness. And that's a common thread we hear from most of our guests on this podcast is a lot of people do those random acts of kindness, and just spreading that little bit, one person at a time, goes a long way.
Well, I remember when the whole Starbucks pay it forward type kind of thing, and I remember it happened to me. I was in Starbucks drive-through and I pulled up, and the cashier there said, she goes, the lady in front of you just paid for the next 3 cars, and you happen to be the second car. And I was like, wow, that was really nice. Like, this lady doesn't know me at all, and she was willing to buy me a cup of coffee, So again, it was a random act of kindness that wasn't that expensive. Well, maybe a little bit because it was Starbucks, but but I mean, overall, it wasn't like a big, expense to her and so forth. And even though I don't know who this lady was, I always remember that event. And so, it's that kind of spurred, like, people buying lunches for, like, people in the military, first responders, and so forth like that. And so, yeah, so that's very important to do for sure.
I love it. Frank, how do you maintain your own sense of positivity and motivation, especially during challenging times or when faced with negativity?
That's a great question. Because being a financial advisor and having to watch the news and the markets all day long, let me tell you, I'm hit with a lot of negativity. So I kind of question myself at times. So, all of our emotions come from the brain, and the brain has to be trained. Even people who are genuinely happy as personality-wise need to continue inputting positivity into their minds. Sometimes we don't even realize it's just the things that we watch on TV, whether it be TV, YouTube, or the books that we read, or things like that. You may not think it's having an effect on you, but to some degree it is, and how you respond to negative situations. I have always been that kind of guy that is like, when I'm determined to do something, like I'm going to do it. Okay. And for me, what keeps me going is that I make it a habit to read positive books that are more like, one of my favorite books is The Magic of Thinking Big. It's an old book. And I actually have the audio CD that I listen to regularly. But when I listen to it, it basically is teaching you, like, when a situation occurs, instead of reverting to the negative, to the downside, look at it as an opportunity and think about, like, what are the possibilities? Okay. And I'll tell you that saved me, because back, 9 years ago, my son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And that was, a very crushing experience for our son. He was 15 years old. And so watching him, suffer for the first couple of months, trying to get his blood sugars under control, I had to be on the positive. I promised him, I said, you're going to live a long and healthy life, and we're going to get this done. And I made that as a promise. And I still hold that promise to this today. But I had to be a positive influence, or I had to constantly be positive, because he was in a situation where he could, he was depressed for a little while, kind of, obviously being young and getting that diagnosis. But for me, when I'm running through bad situations, the reading of the books, and then I always tell myself every day, is that you are one day closer to this being in the past. You're one day closer to you being in the past. So if something bad happens, I wake up Monday morning, okay, it happened yesterday, I'm one day closer to this all being behind me. And sure enough, every, tragic or horrible experience I've been through are in the past, So, you just got to get up and keep moving forward.
Oh my God, Frank, that is such good advice. And we're going to link the book in the show notes. So if anyone is interested in checking that book out, we'll put that in the show notes. But thank you for sharing that. It's really great to hear those tools. I think that'll be really helpful. Frank, what message or words of encouragement would you like to share with our listeners who aspire to make a positive difference in the world?
Look, I'm not a Tony Robbins, but again, sometimes you don't think you're making a positive influence to someone's life, but if you are out there spreading positivity, thinking, more opportunistic and so forth, you are touching somebody's lives. Maybe you may not realize it at some point down the road, but I feel that if you are constantly out there doing it, look, Gregg, you and I, we go to a lot of networking events, right? And people are always talking, correct? So things that as you're meeting these people at these networking events, or, even within your own family, like, just make the effort, just take a little bit of effort to just learn yourself, read some good books, read from people who are in that mindset, learn from them, and learn how you can apply it, and just apply it genuinely. I mean, and you will be blown away um, by the results and experiences that you'll have. I literally I have gotten clients, like I've had people call me and say, so and so referred me, but I got a couple of referrals, but she said that you were just a really great guy and so nice to talk to. And these other guys, I interviewed them and I didn't get the same vibe. And I've actually gotten business just by by being that way. I mean, let's face it, who wants to do business with someone who's negative or kind of rude or whatever the case may be? But yeah. So my hope is that your listeners will just make it a priority every day just to say something nice to somebody. Could be their spouse, could be their children, could be a complete stranger, or just something. Just make it a habit, and I just think that you'll be happier in the long run.
Absolutely. And who wants their financial advisor to be someone who's negative?
An angry advisor is not a good advisor.
Definitely not. Well, Frank, I really appreciate you and sharing all these words of wisdom with us. It has been just such an honor to get to know you, over the past couple of years. And I'm grateful that you were able to spend some time with us today.
Well, thank you, Greg. And thank you for this work that you're doing with this podcast. We need more Greggs in the world to spread the positivity and to actually take action like this. So thank you for having me on today. It was a pleasure and an honor.
You're welcome. Thank you for saying that, Frank. And for those of you that want to get in touch with Frank, we will put his website in the show notes, and you can reach out to him through the Contact Us on his website. And thank you for joining us today for another episode of The Daily Influence. We are grateful that you took some time out of your day to join us for a daily dose of positive influence. And if you feel you got that positive influence, share this episode and our show with your family and friends who would like to add it to their daily routine. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.